This is number 24, Elsewhere Crescent. A big, old, empty house. It's been a while since anyone lived here, and now everything is just a little bit run down. The floors creak and the pipes rattle. The doors jam, and sometimes when the wind is blowing hard enough, you can feel a draft through the window frames. Number 24 has been empty for a long, long time. Until today. Today it is being filled with large wooden chests with "This Way Up" and "Handle with Care" printed on them. Along with the chests come 4 people. 2 of them were big and 2 were small. The big ones went into the front room and gave each other a hug and drank wine from a pair of coffee cups. The small ones went from one room to another, going up a floor at a time. "This house is like a maze," gasped the smaller of the 2. "I shall get lost." "Don't be silly," said the other. "Here, take my hand. We won't get lost if we stay together." From her pocket she pulled out a bag of sweets. "Remember the story of Hansel and Gretel?" she asked. The smaller one nodded. "That's what we'll do." The slightly bigger one smiled. "We'll leave a trail of sweets." "And I shall help," cried the smaller. She took a bracelet from her wrist and popped it over a door handle. "Oh, but I only have the one," she realised sadly. The bigger of the 2 rolled her eyes. "Come on," she said. And so on they went, making their journey with carefully placed sweets along the floor. Eventually they reached the very top of the house. "This must be the attic." The bigger of the 2 looked around with wide eyes. "Look at the wallpaper. This was a baby's room." "I hope they don't make this our bedroom," said the other. "It's so high up." She went to the window and looked out. "I can see the whole street from here." "And further," said the other, looking beyond. "Streets and trees and—" Just then a voice called up the stairs. "Pip, where are you?" "In the attic," shouted the bigger, who we now know is called Pip. "Is Petronella with you?" "Yes, she is." "Yes, I am," cried the smaller, who we now know is called Petronella. "Well, come back please, the pair of you," said the man. "There's a lot of sorting out to do." Pip sighed. "I don't think the attic will be our bedroom. I know what Dad will say. 'This will be my office. It gets the best Wi-Fi.'" Petronella giggled at Pip's impression. "Don't let go of my hand, will you?" she asked, tightening her grip. "Come on, silly." Pip led them out of the attic and down the stairs. "But the sweeties!" gasped Petronella. "They've gone!" Sure enough, the floors were bare. Well, bare-ish. There was dust and cobwebs still, but not a single sign of any of the sweets Pip had so carefully laid down. Pip stared, then frowned, then stared again. She looked in her bag of sweets, and sure enough it was still empty, so she hadn't imagined putting them down. But then, "This isn't right." Pip rubbed her eyes. Petronella looked back up the stairs. "Did we go the wrong way?" she wondered aloud. Pip opened her mouth as if to say something about not being silly, but she closed it again. Perhaps Petronella was right, she wondered. Perhaps there had been more than one way back down and they'd taken the wrong one. Eventually she pointed to the next set of stairs and said quietly, "Let's just keep going down." So they gripped one another's hand tightly and trod carefully down the steps. Another floor down, and still there were no sweets. "I'm scared," whispered Petronella. Pip said nothing, looking about desperately. Everything was brown floorboards and creaking doors and old worn-out wallpaper, dust in the air and cobwebs in the corners. Nothing, but nothing about this house seemed friendly. The 2 girls took another set of stairs in silence. Pip had forgotten how many floors they had gone up, and now had this maddening idea that they might just keep going down forever and ever, descending floor after endless floor. Just then Petronella squealed. She pointed with one stiff arm. Pip followed her outstretched fingers and spotted the same thing she had, her bracelet still hanging around the door handle. This was both a relief and a confusion. "But if we're in the right place," Pip managed to say, "where did all my—" Just then Pip heard a faint snuffling, like the time a guinea pig had sniffed her ear. It seemed to be coming from somewhere in the deep, dark corner of the landing. "There you are," Dad said. He was stood at the bottom of the stairs looking up at them. "What's keeping you?" Petronella took a breath, but it all felt too long-winded to explain in one go. She looked up at Pip instead. "Just looking around," Pip said down the stairs. She gave Petronella's hand a squeeze, and Petronella pursed her lips. "Well, just come along," Dad sniffed. "Getting here was only half of it. We've got to unpack yet." He walked off. "Best not to mention the sweet thing," Pip whispered. "They'll just say we're making it up." Petronella nodded solemnly. Pip sent Petronella down the stairs ahead of her and glanced back into the shadowy recess of the landing. "It's all right," she cooed in a low voice. "You don't have to be frightened of us. If anything, we should be frightened of you. What are you? A big spider? A guinea pig? A fox? A cat? A lion?" Very slightly, very slowly, something came into view. It was lithe and bristling, and reminded Pip of the old teddy bears she'd once seen at the Victorian Museum. "Teddy," she said quietly, confidently. The thing she had named Teddy seemed to look at her for an extraordinarily long time, and then, as if allergic to the single strip of sunlight it was caught in, it shambled effortlessly back into the dark. It had turned out that Dad was right. Getting to the new house had only been half of it. Everything was in trunks of various sizes, and it all had to be sorted out. "We won't get it all done today," Dad explained. "Just the essentials. We will sleep on a blow-up bed until the proper bed's arrived. As for food, we will just have to make do with the microwave for now." "Popcorn!" cheered Petronella. "Baked potato," groaned Pip, having a better idea of what microwave tea would be. "It will just be for a little while," said Mum. "We will have a lovely new kitchen by next week." Just then there was a knock at the door. Dad opened it to find a lady stood there. In her arms was a big dish with a lid on. "Hello," said the lady with a big smile. "I'm Delia, and I live next door." "I'm Christopher," said Dad, "and this is Lucy." He nodded at Mum. "I'm Petronella," said Petronella. "That's Pip. We're sisters, but new sisters." "Step-sisters," said Pip, rolling her eyes. "Well, it is lovely to meet you all," said Delia. "It's about time this house had some people living in it." "Has it not had living people in it?" asked Petronella. "No, dear," said Delia. "Not for a long, long time." "What about cats?" asked Pip. "Or badgers?" "Oh, bless you, no," she beamed at Pip. "No such thing, truth be told." "What's in your bowl?" asked Petronella, gazing up. "I've baked you all a lovely lasagna," announced Delia. "Vegetarian, just in case." Pip's eyes widened. This was better than baked potatoes from the microwave. "There's a lovely fruit salad for afters," Delia said after Lucy took the pan from her. "I'll just pop and get it." "What a kind lady," said Lucy, putting the dish on the table. When she took the lid off, the smell was amazing. Later that night, Pip and Petronella were lying on their inflatable beds in the same room as Dad and Lucy. It had been a long day, and everyone was very tired and full up from the very nice tea of lasagna and fruit salad. "Pip," Petronella whispered when she felt sure the grown-ups were asleep. "Where do you think your sweeties went?" "Yeah, it's all right," Pip whispered back. "It was just a hungry teddy." "A teddy? Like Wilbur?" Petronella squeezed her cuddly unicorn. "Yes, just like Wilbur," Pip assured her. "Now go to sleep." It was very dark at Elsewhere Crescent, much darker than their old street. There were only half as many lampposts here, and not a lot of houses. Dad and Lucy were fast asleep. Petronella was snoring. Pip crept out onto the landing. She didn't put the light on, but used a little torch. "I don't have any sweets left," Pip said hoarsely, "and anyway, too many sweets are bad for you." Reaching into her dressing gown, she pulled out a small foil wrapper. "It's banana slices from a fruit salad," she said, putting them carefully on the floor. "Banana is healthy. I don't like them, though." Pip waited a while, but nothing happened. Oh, well, she yawned and went back to bed. The next morning, though, the banana was gone, and that part of the floor was the cleanest in the entire house.